Hello, my name is Jarrett. Let's talk about game design. So, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring lately. Shocker, I know. And it got me thinking about open world design. I'll be honest, I don't usually like open world games. Even with strong core gameplay, I find them kind of tedious. They usually have a big list of samey missions, and the open world itself feels like it's just making me commute between levels. So, what makes Elden Ring different? Why am I enjoying it so much more? Of course, there are a lot of answers to this question. There's lots of content, interesting world building, nice visuals, but I want to talk specifically about the quest and reward design, and how it makes exploration fun and your playthrough feel like an adventure. I'm sure anyone who's played Elden Ring realized early on that it has no questing system. There's no objective list, NPCs with exclamation points, or dotted lines on the map. Occasionally, NPCs will ask you to do something, but the game doesn't point you towards a specific point. They just ask. This means that, unlike so many open world games, Elden Ring is actually about exploration. Of course, you can explore in any open world game, but when the game marks all of the important content on the map, there isn't much to find in the spaces between. But here, when there are no glowing dots, there could be interesting content anywhere. So exploring in Elden Ring is exciting, because around any corner could be a boss or a dungeon, and when you do find something, it matters. Not everyone will find that dungeon, but you did, so it's part of your adventure. Now, this is interesting in and of itself. I imagine a lot of people are enjoying the open-ended exploration. But I don't think that's all. Removing the map icons from other open-world games wouldn't suddenly make them great. It would probably make them even more tedious. So, why does it work so well in Elden Ring? Let's talk about rewards. Let's start by looking at some more traditional open-world games. In something like Far Cry, the player's reward for completing content is generally checking things off of a list. You find an outpost, clear it, and then the game says, Outpost 5 liberated. Maybe a meter fills up at the top of your screen. This is fine, it shows a nice sense of forward progress, but I think there's a key thing here that's easy to miss. The game acknowledged that you cleared an outpost, but it doesn't really care that you cleared this outpost. Sure, there are some key missions that reward specific allies, and they're clearly shown on your map, and outposts give fast travel points, but the primary rewards are incremental. Eventually, every player will clear enough outposts to move forward. The order or specific ones they cleared don't really matter. This structure helps keep the game accessible. Players can pick the content they want to engage with, but I think it makes the player's decisions feel a lot less meaningful. Every player did X points of destruction and then fought the boss. Which objectives they did are just details. Even Breath of the Wild, which I think is one of the games that started this open-ended trend, has a lot of incremental rewards. There are tons of interesting little temples and Korok puzzles scattered throughout the map, and while the puzzles are unique, they all reward you with the same incremental upgrades. When you find something strange in the environment, you're not excited to see what it holds, you're thinking, oh, a Korok seed, I just need to solve a puzzle first. I find AAA games are often afraid of letting players miss content, so everything of note is clearly marked out, and everything else you unlock slowly as you complete whichever generic content you choose. And while it's great to know that I'm not going to miss out on recruiting chorizo when I play Far Cry 6, putting those things on the map means that I know when to expect interesting content. So, unfortunately, it means I also know when not to expect it. If I find some secluded cave hidden away on the map, I know there's probably not much inside, because if there was, the game would have already told me to go check it out. Of course, there are lots of RPGs with loot systems, but even those I often find kind of unsatisfying. RPG loot is usually semi-randomized, so it's hard for specific rewards to feel unique and important. And key upgrades, like new spells and combat moves, are usually part of the leveling system, so the content that you clear to unlock them is still just details. Here's where Elden Ring is different. Every point of interest you find has something unique to it. Every dungeon, ruins, or wandering boss rewards you with a specific item that you're not likely to find anywhere else. Be it a weapon, a talisman, or a combat maneuver, it's something special. This is nice because it makes the exploration interesting and keeps you curious about what you're going to find, but I also think it does wonders for making your game feel unique, like an adventure. In Elden Ring, you might beat the next boss with a special move that you found in some dungeon halfway across the map. Not because an NPC told you where to get the boss slayer, or because you waited until you unlocked it at level 17, but simply because you decided to turn left at that land octopus. Not everyone will find that dungeon, and not everyone will use that skill. But you did, and that's your story. Of course, I'm not saying this is how every open-world game should work. There's plenty of value in the accessibility and sandbox nature of more traditional ones, and I enjoy plenty of the games I've mentioned here. But I do think it's important to understand why this game is resonating with so many players, and I think a lot of it comes down to the combination of these two elements. The open-ended exploration and unique, consequential rewards mean that players get to make decisions that matter. Players decide where to go, and that decision can completely shake up their playthrough if the reward they find is just right. It leads to a very player-driven experience, and it can be really rewarding. Of course, not every reward will be a game changer, and it can be frustrating to find out that you missed something really cool, but so far I've been really enjoying this structure. Every time I jump in, I'm not trying to remember which questline I was doing or which zone I wanted to clear. I just pick a direction and see what I can find. I want to keep exploring, not because I feel like I should finish with an area before moving on, or because I have to clear some set amount of side content to progress. I'm exploring because it's fun, and it's part of my adventure. I want to see what I'm going to encounter and how it's going to affect the next leg of my journey. No matter where you go, something exciting could be around the next corner. So I want to keep turning corners, because whatever's there might be just what I'm looking for. Thanks for watching. I'm sure there are lots of people talking about Elden Ring these days, but I wanted to give my 2 cents. I think it's easy to learn the wrong lessons if you don't look deep enough. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.